Good evening, Malaysia and followers from around the world. Our guest for tonight is Mr. Christopher Wong, the COO of Malaysia Book of Records. He's a corporate lawyer of 27 years standing. He's also a nature conservationist and an ex-trustee of World Wildlife Foundation Malaysia. But tonight we will talk about the Malaysia Book of Records, which he's in charge, and he has got really fascinating stories to share with us. Incredible stories, laughable stories to tell about how Malaysians try very hard to be recognized and get themselves into the Malaysia Book of Records. I'm holding here the latest edition of 2020, which has just been released, and it's really a thick book. So it goes to show that how much Malaysians try to get into this book, okay, to be recognized. Now, Chris, please give us a little bit of background on what the Malaysian Book of Records is all about.
Hi, good evening, Datuk Sri. Okay, Malaysia Book of Records. Basically, it's about the Malaysia body spirit. Okay, the idea is basically we believe that in Malaysia Book of Records that Malaysians are capable of doing many things which are which can make Malaysia proud. You know, even on the local stage as well as the international stage.
Yeah.
So the idea basically behind Malaysia Book of Records is to act as a source of inspiration, okay, for Malaysians to try to achieve some greatness, okay, and thereafter be documented in a publication where will be serve where it will serve as a legacy for many years to come. So the idea, of course, Malaysia Book of Records actually came about from our founder, Tan Sri Datuk Danny Uy, who basically modeled the premise of Guinness World Records, because Guinness World Records, as we all know, right? So it recognizes and documents world records. And then he noticed back in 1995, why isn't there a publication or a central database that actually would document achievements by Malaysians on the Malaysia stage? And of course, we have many great Malaysians who have done Malaysia proud, either regionally as well as internationally. So because of that, I think that the idea behind Malaysia Book of Records is to actually foster some degree of patriotic pride. I think that is how it is. So since 1995, so we've been in existence since 1995. That makes it 26 years
wow,
and counting. That's a
really
long time.
Really a long time.
It's a long time. So, but of course, back in 2015, we have basically just came under new. We basically had new management by virtue of Datuk Michael Teo, okay, who actually invested into Malaysia Book of Records in order to bring the Malaysia Book of Records to the next level. You know, the idea is basically, you know, we want to make Malaysia Book of Records a very recognizable platform for branding as well as for documenting all these national records. Yep.
Okay. Now, this book has just been released. Okay. Obviously, a lot of work has been put into this. It's really a thick book. Now, tell us more about this edition which has just been released.
Okay, this edition, of course, even though it's 2020 edition, I know it's only been released earlier this year. Of course, the one of the reasons is because for the delayed publication is because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So that was pushed. That's pushed the publication of this book further. This book, in fact, is the 13th edition of since Malaysia Book of Records was founded in 1995. So historically, we at Malaysia Book of Records have been coming out with one publication once every 2 years. So it's like a biannual publication. But since 2019, we then make it a yearly publication because for the obvious reason that basically there are more records now. There are way more records now since in the last 3 or 4 years. So we needed to showcase all these records in the publication. And of course, the only way is not to wait every 2 years, but just do it every year so that at least the record holder will be able to get their records in the publication, and there'll be is actually in our publication. So for this year, we are 2021, we are coming up with a publication Soon, I hope, because we want to get it out before the year is out. So that will be our 14th edition. Yep.
Chris, on average, how many submissions do you get every month?
Okay. It really depends on the season. I think when I meant season, there are certain months in a year that we get a lot more inquiries. Okay. So like for the period running up to the National Day as well as Malaysia Day, there are a lot of applications that are related to patriotic. Basically, it's just patriotic applications, like things that relates to Merdeka as well or Malaysia Day. So on those period running up to those months, we could be entertaining about close to 40 inquiries a month. 40 inquiries a month. I would say a low season we get about 20. 15 to 20. So about half of that. So no doubt that even with all these inquiries, because we have very strict quality control, we have strict QC here, because we take a lot of pride in being the national record keeper, the only national record keeper of Malaysia. So we take a lot of pride in ensuring that the quality remains. So that's why we really, with that many inquiries that comes in, not all will actually pass through our gates and be approved subsequently.
Do you have a committee or some kind of a group of people who will vet through these applications?
Oh yes, we we have a team of research team members, basically that will handle all the inquiries that comes in. This will include liaising with the potential record holder, the applicant.
Chris,
Once,
given that there's a wide, it's a wide. When we talk about records, it's really a wide scope of things.
Oh yes.
Do you have like a certain segments, okay, so that will make it easier for you to base your entry segments of, let's just say, entertainment, science, or whatever?
Yeah.
Then it's easier to process. Is that such a thing?
Yes, there is. There's, in fact, you've noticed in our publication, we actually have divided it into segments. Okay, like we have arts and entertainment, we have building and architecture, nature, animal kingdom, human achievement, So basically there are these few segments. And of course, when people apply in, we have a few team members that basically they specialize in 2 or 3 areas, and of course we also rely a lot of research that needs to be done, for each and every application. So like take for example that recently, since the pandemic started, a lot of things started to go online. We went virtual, social media became social media became very, very prominent, and digital marketing and all that, it becomes so prominent. So that's when we get a lot of this what you call tech-related records, things like that relate even to TikTok, Instagram, Facebook Live, virtual events like virtual annual dinners, and gatherings, Zoom gatherings, and even like Zumba events, like virtual Zumba events, okay, whereby they get the most number of participants to come in to do, Zumba, things like that.
Yeah.
So there's actually different segments. So we basically take a lot of pride in knowing that basically we Malaysians, we Malaysians are actually a very diverse bunch. Basically we can come up with everything, and I can think that basically when we look at very, very skilled in many, many areas, and for that I'm very, very happy to see that. Yeah.
Chris, when someone intends to make a bid for a record, do they perform the record first, and then they submit the video, the supporting documents, or they sort of alert you first? What would someone has to do?
Okay, most of our record applications actually work this way. They would actually apply in. They would actually make a formal written application in before they even start the record tab. But there are instances, like you said, where they have done they've done the event, they've achieved the feat, and then after they realize, hey, this could go into the Malaysia Board of Records. So then in that case, of course, we'll ask them they will submit their proposal in, together with video evidence or whatever evidence they can, documentary evidence that they can show us, and then we will actually take it from there and see whether we can actually approve it post-event. So we have to judge the authenticity of the documents that they support, they send in, and the videos. So basically, we can do that as well. But more often than not, most people would rather they will actually write in first, because they say, "Hey, look, I have an idea. I want to do this on this certain day. Can it be Malaysia Book of Records? Can it be listed in the Malaysia Book of Records?" And then we'll advise them. And so what they do, they'll write in, and then they'll give their proposal, and we will actually have a little discussion per se, to see whether or not the proposal that's submitted by them is workable or not. So at Malaysia Board of Records, we try not to deflate people's hopes, in that sense, because we always like to encourage people to break records. But at the same time, we have to ensure that the quality is there. We have to ensure that that no one's going to look at the Malaysia Board records. Just say an event which is listed in the Malaysia Board records, and people have this notion that, oh, even things like this can get into Malaysia Board records, things like that. So that is something that we have to be very, very wary here. Yeah. But most people would actually basically write in before they apply for, they will apply before they actually would do the record that time.
So Chris, how do you tell the people who are very excited, but at the end of the day, when they look at it, it's actually quite frivolous, okay? So there has been criticism that says that, alamak, nothing to be really proud of. If you made the longest popiah, it's not a big deal, because that it is not really that fantastic. How do you tell these people, look, it's a no-go, sorry, it's not good to make us feel that it's another Malaysia boleh thing, but actually quite an embarrassing thing. How do you tell them?
Okay, of course, this is, no one likes to be rejected.
Sure.
That goes without saying.
Yeah.
So that is always the big problem here. I would think that what we try to do is at Malaysia Board of Records, as what I mentioned earlier, when something that's proposed to us and we look at it and say, this is so frivolous, there's no basis for you doing things like that, But what we try to do is, first of all, of course, we will try to offer an alternative. So we, on our part, we try to assist them. We will try to assist them and say, look, this is a bit, maybe it's not so relevant, or I won't say that. You won't say things like that. You won't say that. It may not be that relevant, or maybe it's not inspirational enough. You choose your words carefully. You choose the words carefully, of course. You don't say you're not good. You're no good or something like that. So and then after that, we'll try to come up with another angle and try to help them and see whether that would work on that basis. We at Malaysia Broadcast have rejected many applications. We have many. I think ever since I became the COO here in 2015, I think we've rejected close to, I think it should be a few hundreds by now. I've also lost count.
Sure.
So, but as I said before, we do try to encourage them to either try a different angle, or maybe even look at the same subject matter and try to create another possibility for them and say, look, perhaps you should do it this way. And if they're okay with it, go. But if they're not okay with it, then say it's too bad. At least I think let's say we don't reject the people outright.
Sure.
You reject people outright, people will get very, very upset. I had just to let you know it's just top parents of children, especially parents of children. We know how proud we are of our children, right? Isn't it? Yeah. So when your children achieve something and then you apply to us and say, look, my kid achieved this, and then we go say, guess what? It's not good enough. Yeah. And that's where they take a lot of offense, They take a lot of offense to that. Rightfully or wrongfully. So as parents, sometimes we also know, we're so proud of our own children, but yet when we try to get acknowledgement for them, someone actually say, oh, I don't think it's good enough. So how we handle that is basically, we try to always, like I said, like what we did earlier, what I told you earlier, we try to give them another angle, So we don't do them to reject them outright, so they don't feel that as if, hey, my kid's not good enough, So that a lot of tact and diplomacy here. I think that you have to play a lot of You have to be really, really correct on that point lah. Yeah.
So Chris, can you list us the some of the notable importance records we have achieved?
Okay. Okay. I mean, the thing is, I always feel that okay, I've been the COO here for the last 6 years. I've seen many records come in, of course, and there are some really, really good ones as well. I mean, you can't really single one out per se, right? But however, because I think on a personal level, I mean, I look at it, I always like records that basically showcase the spirit of human excellence. Okay, I think in a way that kind of brings it's a good reminder that what about what we are doing at Malaysia Board Records here is to showcase people who are extraordinary, who did something that make people proud, and as well as inspire people to get out of their comfort zone, to do things greater than themselves and things like that. So like at the back, I mean, for me, I've always say that there's this one particular record that always stands out in my mind. I always say this is to me still the best record. It's actually achieved by this one individual. Okay, this one individual. His name is Adam. Okay, Adam. He is actually a double amputee, so he lost both his legs when he was very young. Okay. So he has no legs, basically, from his thigh downwards, I think. Okay, slightly further down from the thigh. Okay, but what he has done is he has actually achieved 2 records with Malaysia Board Records. One was when he actually crawled up from all the way up to Mount Kinabalu.
Wow.
Okay? Yes, that's for me. I found that quite. I mean, fantastic. Because it actually showcases how much hardship he has to go through in order to achieve that feat, and to me that is something which I always feel that is so inspirational for able people like us with all the limbs. Who say that I can't climb Mount Kinabalu in itself is very inspirational. It gives you an idea that if a person like Adam can do it, why can't you when you have 2 perfect working legs? And of course, Adam didn't just stop at Mount Kinabalu. He then went on to achieve another record the following year when he crawled all the way to Everest Base Camp. Okay?
Wow. Whoa.
Everest Base Camp. Okay. So I was just amazed, in fact, that a person like him, because he to me personifies what the human spirit is all about. Sometimes we do have, however, we are bounded by our own limitations that we set for ourselves. How about that? It's not even set by someone else; it's actually set by ourselves. And I feel that when you see people like Adam, who can do that, it makes you wonder about yourself. It's like, why do you set limitations on yourself? When you can do a lot more than what you can do. And in fact, I will tell you, even on personal level, because of Adam, I have actually done Kinabalu after that, and I've done Everest Base Camp after that. Because you see, my point is just to say how it can inspire people to get out there and just do it. Yeah. Right. I don't like hiking. I don't like to go up mountains as well. Okay, but yet it inspired me to do this, just to challenge myself, to challenge my human spirit and say, look, I can do this too if Adam can do this. So for me, I always say Adam's 2 records with us has been the most notable. I'm thinking in terms of how he relates to me. I felt that is to me the most notable ones.
What about the outrageous ones?
Outrageous one. Oh, there are many, but of course, what you mentioned earlier about us trying not to approve frivolous records or records which are gimmicky, or records which are what you call, for lack of a better word, shock sendiri, I guess the word. Okay, right. So it brings to mind there was one particular applicant. Okay, eventually we didn't give it to him, but because for reasons I'll tell you later. Okay, right. But he came to us. Okay, this is a Chinese guy. Okay, who came to our office in I think it was like almost 4 years ago, at least 4 or 5 years ago. This was way back, okay?
Mm.
And came to us and said, look, I've got something I want to be enlisted into the Malaysia Board of Records. And I say, okay, what? What do you have? All right. So he met my team at that point in time, okay? And then I say, I have got the longest chest hair.
Hey,
okay.
very difficult for Chinese to have chest hair, okay?
Precisely. That is my point. And that is my point, when I say, okay, and the Chinese guy, we are not noted to have very hairy chest now, okay, right? And so he came to us, okay, and then after that, my team member said, look, there's this so and so, I can't remember his name now. I'm so sorry, it's been long. And he said, this is a guy now who's in our office now. He actually wants to apply for a longer chest hair. And I said, okay, let's have a look, So I went out, and then there he was, and he said, longest chest hair. And I said, okay, then we have to see, right? We have to look at the hair, right? So he proceeded to take off his shirt. And true enough, he's not a hairy guy, okay? He's just not a hairy guy, okay? Not hairy at all. But he happened to have one strand of hair, okay? They came out from, I think, above somewhere. When we measured, it's 42 centimeters, okay? It's very, very long, okay? It's like that, okay? I can't even put it in the screen, okay? But so it's 42 centimeters. And then we said, wow, that's amazing. In fact, then we actually quickly checked on Guinness World Records now, what's the current record for the longest chest hair? And the longest is actually 37 or 38 centimeters. So he actually is a world record holder.
Wow.
No kidding, no kidding, okay. So, and then after, okay, we had to measure it, right? I will now backtrack a bit. We had to measure it. So you can imagine this Chinese guy without his shirt in our conference room. And a few of us basically have to slowly pull his hair, because the longer the hair, the more likely it will break. Okay? The more likely. So we have to be so careful in making sure that the tension is enough for us to measure it. Okay. And then after that we say, oh, 42 centimeters, very, very long. And then he told me, oh, okay, we can consider this, but let me check with my whole team. We have to see whether or not we can actually approve it. And then he told me this thing, which I thought was pretty funny. Hey, can you get it approved fast? You know why not? I have to I have to sleep and bathe in a certain way. Do you know that? Because because I cannot risk breaking this long. It breaks off very, very easily. So say, can you approve it? So because I have to, even the way I wipe my body after that, also I have to make sure I wipe it in a certain way. Make sure it doesn't break. And then that was it. And then while in the process of us considering his record, it broke. So that was it. So that's why we couldn't give it to him. So it broke. So I was like, too bad, it broke. So obviously we can't just give it like this, right? It has to be attached to the body. So that was why we actually didn't eventually give him the record. But that would have been, if it had been successful, I think it would have been the most outrageous for me. So anyway.
So
for me,
you had to measure this, what do you call it, without smiling, without laughing, with a straight face, right?
Yes. That was the most difficult part as well. I still remember. Of course, we had to really, contain our muffle or laughter and say, don't laugh. I mean, he's serious. No, he's serious. If you laugh, then you feel so insulted about this. So
my God, you have left someone with a broken heart, man.
Yeah, or broken hair.
Yeah. Okay, now I need to ask you this final question. Okay, I mean that you have done a great job. I mean, no one has taken trouble to really put these records. Okay, someone in Malaysia is actually putting this together and doing it very professionally in a really quality book and everything. Now, of course, like everybody else, someone like me, who is in this business, okay, they will ask, okay, where is the business model, or what do you get out of this doing this? Okay, I mean, we can talk about national service and Malaysia boleh, but wages have to be paid. Somebody got to pay your salary. Somebody got to pay for rental of the office. So where does the money come from?
Okay. Now that is why my role here, I feel, is rather important. Okay, we at Malaysia Board of Records have always portrayed ourselves as a non-profit organization. But you're right. We have operation costs. I mean, we have to pay salaries of the team members. We have to pay rental. We have to pay electricity. We have to pay all that. So where is our source of revenue, right? Where is our source of revenue coming from in order to sustain the operations of this organization? So what we do at Malaysia Board of Records is actually we charge a very nominal fee for all application, and only payable upon successful approval. I mean, you don't pay anything if the application is denied by us lah.
Okay.
So for every successful applicant, they will pay a one-off administration fee. Okay. Basically, the administration fee is, it covers time costs, publication cost, data storage, and of course our maintenance of the record. Yeah. So that is basically how we sustain ourselves. But having said that, sometimes that is also not enough, right? That is also sometimes. So of course. So what we do is basically sometimes we get into collaborations, some national projects, whereby we get what we call sponsorship, private sponsorship from corporations, and that helps. Like, it's like basically we will advertise them on our say, for example, on our backdrop, things like that, and be featured prominently in our show. I mean, when we do road shows, for example, we've done road shows before, for example. So road shows cost money, right? Obviously.
Yes.
So and we get them to, for example, come in, give us some money, and then you are able to set up something there where you can showcase your product as well, things like that. So and it's been a challenge. Like, it is a challenge because we do not want to be seen as selling records for money. I mean, it's a very fine line. It's a very fine line between saying, did you get the record because you paid?
Yes.
And that's what we've been trying to avoid all this while. Because that's why one of our criteria, for example, like, not just to share with you as well, Dr. Sri, is we don't give out records like best or most successful, things like that. I mean, these titles are very, very arbitrary and very subjective, because what may be best for you may not be best for me, you see. Sure. So all our records at Malaysia Board Records are measurable and quantifiable. That's the most important aspect of it, so that you can even audit us and say, why do you give him the biggest say? Sorry, it was mentioned Popia just now, longest Popia. Oh, because why they did a Popia? There's like 1 kilometer long, things like that. So there is always something that is quantifiable and measurable. So they cannot say, why do you give them a record? Oh, because they gave us money, so I give them a record lah. Things like that. Sure. So that's not how we work. So that in that sense, that also helped us to maintain very relevant and very credible, and show that we're very, very professional about it. And of course, another way of actually us getting funding also is when we collaborate with government agencies. I mean, government agencies actually, in fact, Malaysia Board of Records, because of our presence in Malaysia Board of Records and our main objective, national interest, promoting pride and all that. So we get a lot of what we call support and endorsement from government agencies, right? So we do have like collaborations and even some, I would say JV, but we cooperate together to try to do something for the purposes of building national pride. And just to give an example, we are working on maybe a Merdeka campaign right now with maybe the Ministry of Rural Development, for example, things like that. Yeah. And there'll be some private entities coming in, and then they will pump in some money, things like that, and for us to make this project a success. Yeah. So then we also derive some degree of indirect income from there as well. So there's no, I wouldn't say there's no fixed rule about how we really get our income, but my job here is to basically to try and create a lot of opportunities for Malaysia Board Records to be able to sustain ourselves now, without going a bit overboard. I will say that basically sometimes having this role is like a gatekeeper.
Understand.
So and being a gatekeeper, there's the responsibility is quite high. Yes. You have to make sure that at the end that you make sure that things are being done the right way. And at the same time, you don't want to create the perception that I need to sustain my operations. I need money, therefore please give me some money, and I'll give you a record. Things.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work that way. Yeah. So basically that's our business model per se. And we've been quite okay. Well, I mean, I can't say about before 2015, before I took over. But after I took over, so far it's been good. It's been manageable. So even when we had the COVID-19 pandemic last year, everything suffered. Of course, all businesses suffered, and Malaysia World Records is no exception as well. And but we are lucky enough that we have built some reserves to at least sustain us for those few months. And so far we've been doing very well. We've not terminated any team members, and we're still going very, very strong in spite of the pandemic. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for spending the evening with me. And you have done a great job in keeping the records of Malaysians in achieving feats which would have been unimaginable. What you have shared to me about Adam is really fantastic. I really appreciate it. And I think there are a lot of Malaysians who look forward to their fellow countrymen who tries hard to achieve a remarkable records. Okay. And of course, congratulations to Michael Teo as well for the good job he has done. And please, before we sign up, please remember to watch, to like, share, and follow Chris Wong and RealChunWai on social media. Thank you very much. Good evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Dr. Sri. Thank you, Dr. Sri. Bye-bye. Good night.
Good night.